Hi guys, it's Simon C. Welcome to this new AI radar. The New York Police Department is receiving a lot of attention for testing robot dogs, which it has deployed in several situations, including to scout out a location where the police feared a dangerous gunman might be lurking. One of the things that makes these robots so unnerving is that everybody implicitly understands that the possibility of weaponizing them will continue to hang out there like attempting forbidden fruit for law enforcement. There is also the fear that they could evolve from a remote-controlled tool to an autonomous decision maker that makes actual law enforcement decisions of some kind. That would bring up the main issues around bias and inaccuracy in AI decision making. The ultimate nightmare, of course, would be robots that are armed and made autonomous. Researchers at the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology identified 926 spill events from two wastewater treatment plants over an 11-year period by employing machine learning. Instead of mapping the 3D shape of a face, here we have the shape of the flow through a wastewater treatment works, says lead researcher Professor Peter Hammond. While they may seem like a departure, the pattern recognition and machine learning approach works in the same way. Startup Loom has created an AI-based lash robot that can delicately extend eyelashes for customers in beauty salons. The lash extension procedure is ideal for robotics because it's a tedious job for humans who often have to tend over while adding extensions to each individual lash, which takes a lot of dexterity and concentration over 2 or 3 hours. The Loom robot can do the same procedure where it grabs someone's eyelash and adds an extension to it in under 20 minutes. Radiology Business quotes a study of a group of UK researchers that argues that radiologists and other clinicians should not yet depend on machine learning for diagnostic support because robust evidence is still lacking. In particular, Utsprung and others queried medical literature databases for research logged between 2010 and 2019. They sought peer-reviewed studies comparing clinician performance with and without the use of machine learning-based diagnostic clinical decision support systems. In the select few studies between improved clinician performance and the use of machine learning diagnostic support, about 76% of the studies were rated as having a high risk of bias based on the quality assessment of diagnostic accuracy studies tool. Another 16% were found to be at serious or critical risk of bias when graded using the risk of bias in non-randomized studies intervention scale. In short, 3 major trends highlighted in a 2021 AIIndex, an annual report released on March the 3rd by Stanford University, are that China is overtaking the United States in total number of artificial intelligence research citations, fewer AI startups are receiving funding, and the US Congress is talking about AI more than ever. VentureBeat quotes a paper accepted for publication at the Fairness, Accountability and Transparency Conference, which states that algorithmic fairness frameworks developed in the West may not transfer directly to people in India or other countries in the global South, where algorithmic fairness requires understanding of local social structures and power dynamics of a legacy of colonialism. As AI becomes global, algorithmic fairness naturally follows. Context matters. We must take care to not copy-paste the Western normative fairness everywhere, the paper reads. The considerations we identified are certainly not limited to India. Likewise, we call for inclusively evolving global approaches to fair machine learning. The paper's co-authors concluded that conventional measurements of algorithm fairness make assumptions based on Western institutions and infrastructures after they conducted 36 interviews with researchers, activists and lawyers working with marginalized Indian communities. Hugging Face is going to triple efforts to build an open source community for artificial intelligence with the close of a $40 million Series B funding round. CEO and co-founder Clement DeLong said Hugging Face believes transfer learning is critical to the future of machine learning. This and other recent advances, he said, signify that transfer learning models are starting to eat the whole field of machine learning. Hugging Face has also published AI Research, a paper about the Transformers NLP library that's seen more than 10 million Python pip installs and being used by a number of businesses, including Microsoft's Bing and MongoDB, received the Best Demo Paper Award at the EMNLP Research Conference last year. Sandbox at Alphabet, the parent company of Google, plans to launch a set of APIs called Flock that will allow developers to use tensor processing units to simulate quantum computing workloads. Flock, which will initially be made available in alpha to 50 teams in the QHack Open Hackathon, will offer a simulator AI API that leverages the bleeding edge of AI compute for experimentation. The Sandbox at Alphabet team repurposed TPUs, chips developed by Google specifically for AI training and inference, to accelerate simulations in the cloud so that developers can use front-ends like TensorFlow, Quantum and PennyLane to create quantum models and run them remotely on Flock. Workers with college degrees and specialized training once felt relatively safe from automation. Well, they aren't, claims a piece from the New York Times. As bots become capable of complex decision making, rather than doing single repetitive tasks, their disruptive potential is growing. Humans have feared losing our jobs to machines for millennia. In 350 before Christ, Aristotle worried that self-playing harps would make musicians obsolete, and yet automation has never created mass unemployment, in part because technology has always generated new jobs to replace the ones it destroyed. The Verge states that the European Union wants to double its chip manufacturing output to 20% of the global market by 2030. Maintaining a steady supply of these chips has become a pressing concern for nations around the world, as supply chain disruptions caused by the pandemic and the US-China trade war have affected global supplies. As with the flow of key resources like oil, access to cutting-edge chips is essential for many industries and products, from iPhones to cars. Currently, the bulk of production is concentrated in Asia, particularly in Taiwan and Korea. Okay guys, it's all for today. See you next time. Bye.